So Harry Litman, our legal lad, who prepped Justice Breyer for confirmation so many years ago. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning, Steph. How are you? What would Amy Winehouse say? All right.
No, I asked you during the break here. I'm like, okay, what rat should we look forward to from Republicans or Mitch McConnell? And I think you basically think they'll be okay with their 3 stolen seats already, and they'll just let this go.
Yeah. So my prediction is like rhetorical effery, but not real, bloodbath, no holds barred effery. So I think from their standpoint, they see this as the Dems are, have the votes. Brown Jackson already got 53 votes, for example, before, and it was so then the 3 Republicans who crossed over would be hard pressed to do something different. Manchin and Sinema have never opposed, for all their truculence in other agenda items. They've never opposed a Biden judge. So I think from the Republicans' point of view, they think this is going to happen. So their choice is to, fight and make a big deal about it and have things extended. And this is a good place for Biden now to be. He was in a bad place yesterday, right? When he, the 1 year anniversary was treated with all kinds of, retrospectives about how he's in the dumps and on the skids, et cetera. Now this is this is where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And I think the Republicans are going to say, let him take his victory lap, let him take it quickly, and we can go back to bashing him then. Certainly there'll be a lot of Republicans who'll be bloviating about liberal values and this kind of stuff, but I don't think McConnell will ever be making a serious effort to try to derail the nominee.
I feel like their racism has just gotten so much more overt, though. I am almost cringing as to what, Fox News, we were saying within minutes of the announcement, was already saying it's racist. That he's saying, it's affirmative actions, blah, 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 that he has already said he's going to appoint a black woman. That's what I'm saying. It's just the dog whistles are not dog whistles anymore. So I think that I am sort of pre-cringing at some of what we may hear.
Look, they'll make those points. I was on Fox last night. That was the first point, and I think I responded to it as Biden might. But there's no doubt that they'll try to wave some red flags to their constituency while this is going on. I just don't think anyone will be seriously mounting a challenge, as like the Dems did, even when they didn't have the numbers because the stakes were so high. But as you say, that effery has left the station. So, Breyer, probably, by the way, he was the least, he was no liberal lion. He's a liberal in the classic sense of believing government can do good for people. But his voting pattern placed him, slightly to the right of the other 3 when there were 4 of them. So I think this appointment likely nudges the court a little bit, but, the 5 are monolithic now, and they don't care.
Yeah. That's the tragedy of it. This was interesting, Harry. You have, an insight that not many people have. You've done a lot of clerking at the Supreme Court, but also prepping Breyer for his Supreme Court nomination. You said some very sobering, even ironic words from Breyer when he was nominated. He said, where else in the world can people be as certain as we are in America that 100 years from now they'll be able to vote in a free election to choose a president and a representative in Congress? Really ironic now.
How poignant is that, right?
Yeah.
This was a big, I'm thinking about that speech when in 94, so he's this very professorial, kind of pointy-headed, I say that as a pointy-headed guy myself, guy, but he staked his claim at this very speech in 94 in the Rose Garden. I was there, about being a sort of regular, person and the measure of law is what it does for the people. And I was thinking about that because he's going to have the book-ending speech today. So he wanted to be thought of as a pragmatist and a collegial guy, and I think he was that way in manner and largely in votes too. He really believes in the administrative state. He could be pretty professorial and dull in his writings. Although there were times, I was just reading 10 minutes ago, Stefan, if you want a little liberal blood to flow in your veins. Look at his 2007 dissent in the Seattle case, where the court said Seattle couldn't choose of its own accord to do an affirmative action plan. And this breaks the promise of Brown. What is up with this court? He could show fire on rare occasion and did.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's next. Interesting. You tweeted a rule to keep in mind between now and the nomination. Nobody has real inside knowledge. Nobody. That said, I think the suggestion that Brown Jackson is leading the pack is, I'm not sure what you meant by that. Pack is QBL. You think that she is leading the pack or she's not? I couldn't tell what you meant.
I think that's the conventional wisdom.
Oh, conventional wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, and she has something really strong going for her. She was confirmed. Yeah. You can turn to Graham and Collins and Murkowski and said, you voted for her before. But Leandra Kruger, so first, you're going to hear a lot about Childs in South Carolina, but I think that's got everything to do with Clyburn's championing of her. I just think Kruger, she's 6 years younger. She was in the SG's office. She's argued 12 cases up there. I think at the very, very, very rarefied levels of the Supreme Court, she's, slightly more of the mold's a funny word here because, of course, we're breaking the mold with an African-American woman. But I think she's really a very top quality candidate, but for the fact that she's a state court judge, so wasn't confirmed in the federal system, I would see her as the front runner.
To everybody's racist, it's affirmative action arguments, you said both have a platinum-plated resume, every bit as prestigious and rarefied as those of the last several appointees, including the most prestigious clerkships in the country. So,
Breyer, they all court in the Supreme Court. Although this woman from South Carolina, whom Clyburn champions, one of the things, and I think you'll be hearing this, Steph, a sort of talking point of it shouldn't always be Harvard and Yale, and she's got a more, conventional or standard background. You want to really think about people when they get up there duking it out with Alito and Gorsuch, et cetera. And, here's one occasion. I'm not just pointy-headed, but I guess fuddy-duddy-ish here, where, the credentials stand for something, and they stand for the ability to really be able to take the debate that to the other side. And that's important.
Yeah.